So I wanted to do this video as a response to an article I just read on a site known as forharriet.com. And the article basically talks about charter schools, and it talks about charter schools in regard to P. Diddy, who just opened a charter school inside of Harlem. And the title of the article is "No P. Diddy, Opening a Charter School Will Not Save Black Children from Inequality," something like that. The reason why I wanted to do this, number one, the title threw me off from the get-go because, number one, I feel like I'm tired of people who don't do anything about some of the issues that we have in our community, criticizing people who are trying to do something. You know, you have a lot of people on these internet and these sites who sit back and watch someone else do something, sit back and watch them try to come up with a solution to the problems that we're having. Meanwhile, what do? They write articles for a living, or they write blogs, or they tweet. Meanwhile, you have this man opening a school for children, you know, trying to educate them. And rather than saying, you know what, I don't know if it's going to be the best, but let's hope for the best, this could be something great, this person basically took the time to tear down someone who's actually trying to do something for his community. Mind you, this is a hip-hop star, and the biggest criticism I hear of these rappers and these athletes and different entertainers, actors, comedians is that Black people, we probably have one of the strongest presence inside of these fields, and yet hardly any of them do something radical or something that could actually bring change to their communities. And Puff Daddy actually did something. He started a school for Harlem, and any kid child can go to that school, and he's working with a guy named Steve Perry, Dr. Steve Perry, who has actually seen results with the schools that he has opened. He's working with him trying to open a school in Harlem. And the fact that this person, who I don't know what they do for the Black community, I don't know if they've done something more exceptional, but the fact that this person would take time to basically condemn or say, put out negative energy about someone trying to do something good for Black children, that irked me. Now, I wanted to do the article really because I wanted to talk about the article because I wanted to break some of these misconceptions about charter schools. And as a disclaimer, I'm not a super pro charter school person, and I'm not a super anti charter school person. I'm someone who believes that Black people, we have to look at all of our options. And let this go for politics too. We have to look at every single option. The Democrats, the Republicans, the Libertarians, the Green Party, we have to let everyone's options be in front of us and look at them and strategically decide who is it that we want to go with. And that's the same thing with these charter schools, because basically what you'll have is that you'll have people come out saying, well, Black people, you shouldn't support charter schools because they can have negative implications for your community. If a charter school opens inside of a particular school district, then there's a chance that that public school that exists inside that district will actually become worse, which is actually true, and it does happen a lot of times. But if you're looking at this as someone who's trying to do what's best for their child, then you're going to look at all the options equally. You're going to make an intelligent decision based on what's best for your child, and hopefully more people in the community can form a coalition to where together we can petition these schools saying that we are all going to look at what's best for our child. So let me also say there are some horrendous charter schools out there, and there are some great ones. There are the problem with charter schools, and this is a problem in a broad scope. This is a problem, is that because the way that they work is basically, let's say a nonprofit organization wants to open a school. So basically, this nonprofit organization will go to whoever the state authorizer is and say, we want to open a school. So the state will grant that organization a charter, and that person could open a school. The difference between the public schools, though, is that the charter schools, they're not so much under the control of the district. They have a lot of discretion to do things. They don't necessarily have someone looking over their back over things the same way that a public school would, a district-run public school. But again, it depends on the school. That's why you have to be very open-minded, because I can tell you, there are some schools that I've seen, and they are horrible. And I would say, by all means, do not send your child to that school. But if you are a parent that's looking at a different school, and let's say that the public school system has failed your child and they're not getting through to your child, the curriculum is racist, which is something that I would say almost every public school curriculum is. You have a charter school that's actually different. A charter school that actually, there's charter schools that teach kids based on African principles and have African figures inside of the school, and they go a whole nother approach. That might be best for your child. So I'm saying that to say, don't make up your mind about something just because your political ally, quotes, tells you that you should be against this because it's bad. You need to make an intelligent decision. Black people, we don't owe nothing to anyone. None of us owe nothing to anyone. Only one that we owe something to is ourselves as a community. So I wanted to say that basically to disclaim a lot of what the article was saying. Yes, there are horrible examples of charter schools, but honestly, there are horrible examples of public schools. And one last thought I want to say is that, a lot of these organizations will basically say, we have to do something that's good for all black kids, or all kids, period. And basically, you say, okay, so basically the black community is supposed to wait until the whole system figures out how to become equal and equitable for our children. We're supposed to just wait. And if you haven't noticed, we've been waiting for hundreds and hundreds of years. We've been waiting since we got here. And I personally do not believe that the public school system, as it is built, and in my opinion is built on a lot of white supremacy, on a lot of subjugation of the races, and on a lot of teaching black children to basically be workers and teaching white children to basically be bosses, and a lot of teaching these black children not to achieve and having low expectations. I believe the system literally built on that, foundationally, from the bottom up. And so for you to say that I have to wait for this system, this hundreds and hundreds of years old system that fundamentally is not built to educate my child the same way that it educates a white child, or forget that, just educate my child to be something more than a servant, something more than a slave, something more than a worker. For you to say that I have to wait for that system to get corrected is BS. And if you look at it, guess what? How far along are we? And kids are graduating and going through high school, and the systems is the same exact way, doing the same exact results as it did before. So I think that's selfish whenever you have these people like the NAACP, because the NAACP just put out a national, I believe it was a moratorium on charter schools, and it just ratified it this past weekend. When you have these organizations saying, well, black people, you shouldn't do this, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, a lot of these people in these organizations don't have to go through the same thing that a lot of us have to go through. A lot of them are lawyers and doctors, and they have these great affluent positions inside of white America, and they can send their child to any school that they want to send them to. A lot of them don't have to deal with what these parents inside of these segregated, impoverished neighborhoods have to deal with. So for you to lecture me on where I should send my child, you who is someone who makes 10 times more as me, to lecture me on where I should send my child, you who are privileged to lecture me on where I should send my child, is ridiculous. So again, I'm not pro-charter school, I'm not anti-charter school. Understand that there are bad ones and there are good ones, which is why it's the responsibility of parents, advocates, people who are community leaders to be paying attention to which ones are bad. Public, charter, district run, doesn't matter. Any school that is bad, we need to be drawing attention to that school and putting pressure on that school, and hopefully having that school closed. But the schools that are good, the schools that will educate your child better, if you find that, then by all means go with it. Don't let anyone guilt you or make you feel like you owe it to them for you to do something a different way.